I'd like to bring to order the Administrative Service Committee meeting for the City of Old Town. And it's October 20th, 2025. That has to be on there as well. Okay, the first thing on, please silent your cell phones, please. First item on the agenda. Isabel, I can't pronounce your last name, will be given an update on the comprehensive plan.
Is it okay if I plug into the TV? I do have a very brief presentation.
Sure.
Okay,
Go for it.
perfect.
I like watching TV.
That's her. She looks like she knows she can do it.
I've been here before.
I had to bring my folder, Isabel. And this is all of the information you've given us, just so you know.
Yeah, brevity is not my strong suit. Okay, I know that some of you, as was mentioned, are much more sort of intimately familiar with this process, but for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar, I do have just a primer, and then I've given you a lot of data and information in relation to some of the public engagement we've done, so I'm also happy to take questions about that at the end if you'd like. So yeah.
One second, Isabel. Can you just introduce yourself and say?
Yes, sorry. So my name is Isabel Exley. That's how you say that
Exley,
last
okay.
name. And I am the consultant that has been hired to assist the city in its comprehensive plan update. I'm going to get into a little bit more about what a comprehensive plan is in just a second. I'm also accompanied by my intern, Miles Jones. He is a senior at UMaine who did a lot of the data analysis that you got in your packet as well.
Thank you.
So in terms of what a comprehensive plan is, this is really a document that ends up taking a long-range look at various topics that end up influencing the community's character, its growth, and its financial position. These are those topics more specifically, so it kind of touches on every city department and everything that you might think of when you think of municipal government in general. So economy, housing, agriculture and forestry, history and culture, recreation, transportation, natural and water resources, public facilities and services that the city provides, and population and demographic data and information. All of those things kind of feed into this one, which is land use. So really how the land of the city is developed or conserved and how it's used into the future. And I should note that these are specifically required by the state of Maine to be addressed within every town or city's comprehensive plan as they go through this update process. So in terms of why we plan, you should be aware that only cities with a state certified plan can create certain policies like impact fees or zoning ordinances. Your zoning ordinance is technically supposed to be consistent with the recommendations that come out of a comprehensive plan process. You also get preference with certain state grant programs. There are about 30 now that having a comprehensive plan gives you actually direct preference with. But then there are other grant programs, including private like foundation grants, that want to see that you've documented the project that you are applying for funds for in your comprehensive plan or in some other strategic planning document. And I should note that some of you have nonprofit experience. The comprehensive plan is sort of like the strategic plan for the city. It also guides state investment in infrastructure towards certain areas. So the state actually prioritizes investment in, their department buildings, but also things like prioritizing investment in DOT maintained and owned roads in designated growth areas. And then maybe the most important thing is it really creates a community-driven vision for the future. So we're going through this whole process to really understand what the community wants and what the data and what the surveys and the information that we've gathered so far tells us that they want. So just in terms of process, We have been working on this project since about December of 2024. I believe that was when we came to the council to get my contract signed. So the first sort of part of this process was a review of existing conditions. We went through a ton of required data analysis, really focusing on population and demographic trends, trying to understand, things in the community that might be lacking, only according to the data. Then we dove in further to public engagement. That was when we started to understand what the community thinks is lacking. In some instances, and I think we've sort of highlighted this in some of the public engagement summaries, the community has a perception that something is lacking that may not necessarily be lacking by the data, but really in this case, perception is sort of reality to some extent, right? So we want to make sure that we're marrying what the data tells us we need with what the public is also telling us we need, where possible. Which leads me into, starting in November and into February of next year, we're really going to be going through marrying what the data says that we need and what the public says that we need, and trying to prioritize all of those different and varying needs and goals. That's when we create the recommendations, the goals, objectives, and specific measurable action steps of the plan. Finally, we do need to have a required public hearing. That would be before this body, and it's typically a joint public hearing with the planning board. That's actually the only required public engagement that the state requires throughout this whole process. Obviously, we've done some more extensive public engagement that I'll talk about in just a second. Then there's also a state review period for consistency with the relevant statutes. So to dive a little bit deeper into public engagement, we held an online and mailed survey. We mailed it to every address in Old Town. That garnered 513 survey responses, and a lot of that information is in your packets. We then held a couple of community open house events. We had 25 attendees over at the library over 2 different days. At those events, we really started to focus on high-level strengths and weaknesses of Old Town. And then, based on what we heard from the survey and at those open house events, it became clear that there were some areas that needed a little bit further of a deep dive. So we held some specific visioning workshops related to housing, public services, and the downtown more specifically. That started to get a little bit more specific feedback. We also held a developer forum with sort of our frequent flyer applicants, or those that are, doing work frequently in Old Town. I had an interview with the RSU 34 superintendent just to get some feedback around the schools. You'll notice that schools are absent from the comprehensive plan. We don't specifically address, school type policies, but as I think you all are probably aware, the things that impact the school are sort of one specific part that impacts the rest of the community. And then I saw many of you when I was tabling at Riverfest. We got a lot of more specific information specifically about the downtown, with a couple of other comments as well. So through all of this survey questions and all of the conversations thus far, we've really attempted to better understand what the community hopes that the final comp plan will address, as well as the current priorities of the community. So we started to unveil some community values that kept coming up over and over. That was being a welcoming, inclusive, and multi-generational community. So really making sure that all ages have opportunities here. And related to that, there are housing opportunities for all ages and varying incomes. I don't think this one will come as a surprise to anybody, but we continually heard that a vibrant and desirable downtown that is the heart of civic life is especially important. And really capitalizing on us being a river community, that these are crucial to a healthy Old Town, and that we should be maximizing our connection with the Penobscot and Stillwater rivers. And then generally improving neglected or abandoned homes, businesses, buildings all around, really trying to make Old Town visually more appealing. And then going back to those priority focus areas, again, we kind of kept touching on these throughout conversations that we've had. So housing, big problem across the state. Old Town's not necessarily exempt from that problem. The data is telling us some specific areas that we should be focusing on, and so that will probably come as a goal of the comprehensive plan. The economy broadly, but then more specifically downtown, and then public services, including transportation improvements. There was a lot of conversation around sidewalk connectivity, maintenance of roads, maintenance of sidewalks, things like that. So, the state requires every comprehensive plan to include a vision statement. So the vision statement is really just a high-level aspirational statement describing the kind of community that Old Town wants to be in the future. And what we've come up with is a vision statement and then some big ideas or priority goals that are sort of bullet points to that vision statement. And I do want to note that those big ideas will really end up becoming some of our major priority goals of a finalized comprehensive plan. So the vision is Old Town is a vibrant and inclusive city that celebrates its rich history while embracing a dynamic, innovative future. And then the big ideas are celebrate our unique position between the Stillwater and Penobscot rivers, create a seamless connection between our city and our water resources. That could be things like a river walk trail, or just generally making the visual appearance facing the river a little bit more appealing. Spurring economic opportunity by expanding business, entrepreneurial support, and retaining diverse businesses, filling vacant space, spurring investment, and providing all of the necessary public services that really spur that economic development. Revitalize and sustain the character of our neighborhoods. So that's some of, starting to touch on cleaning up derelict properties, but then also offering a variety of housing options for our multi-generational population, including most specifically young people and families. Parks are engaging and safe for all users. There are interconnected trails that would allow easy access to these amenities and continue to link our various commercial and residential areas. The goal is to take pride in our lively downtown, which serves as the hub and heart of our great city. So again, getting back specifically to what folks have already said. And then we are a diverse population comprised of proud generations of longtime residents, new friendly faces, and our university community. And we welcome families and young professionals as integral members of our community. I want to note on that one, we welcome everyone as integral members of our community, but the data was really showing that what we're starting to lack, if there's not intervention from the city, are those families and younger professionals. So we tried to specifically call that out. And then just to sort of put a finer point on how this is all going to work together. So I talked about the community values. That was what we started to understand through our initial meetings and the survey. That vision statement that I just shared, and then we started to talk through priority goals. There will be other broad aspirational statements that help make that community vision a reality. We have to have goals related to each of the state's required topic areas, but as we're thinking about prioritization, so jumping about 5 steps ahead, thinking about prioritization of goals and prioritizing limited funds and limited staff resources, really focusing on the areas that people have communicated are most important to them will be, of course, highest priority. Objectives end up, these have not yet been developed, these sort of top 2 pieces, but the objectives are some more specific direction for how the goals will be carried out. And then the action step is sort of like a specific checklist. If you printed that off as a council, you could say, these are the specific steps that we would take to accomplish our goals. Just want to highlight some next steps. Really, the next sort of piece of this process is to analyze and, where possible, respond to the community feedback that we received thus far. I sort of mentioned at the beginning that land use policy and likely some level of development will be necessary to accomplish some of these priority goals. We just need to start better understanding where that development should be focused. So we are having a future visioning workshop specific to development and conservation, all wrapped up in land use policy. That will be on November 6th at 6:30. And then there are a number of comprehensive plan committee meetings coming up over the next few months. Those are open to the public, and I believe are being posted on the city's website calendar if folks are interested. as an aside, this is a link to our project website. The events that are, really public-facing interactive events are posted on this website. And there's also online ways to participate if anyone in the audience is interested. And that is all I have to share. I do want to just make sure that if you have any major questions or feedback to the vision statement or feedback to the priority goals at this point, that we capture those. Or if you have, you want me to dive deeper into any of the data that we've shared, happy to do that as well, although it was also posted publicly to the city's website.
So I have a question as well. You just made a statement a little bit ago about what you're learning the public says we need isn't necessarily what we need. How do you decipher or determine that?
I don't want to go as far as to say it's not necessarily what we need, although I think that we have a recognition that, potentially, we've talked about this in comp plan committee meetings, we are trying to divert funds towards, for example, maintenance of infrastructure, and we're still hearing that infrastructure is not being maintained. So what I really need to understand when we get that sort of feedback is, and we did this on the survey, where that person is calling in from, and if we can respond specifically to their comment, or if there's areas that we've been prioritizing historically that we may need to focus on different areas to respond to feedback. I don't want to say it's fully different. I think there's oftentimes a Venn diagram, but occasionally we're getting feedback that the city is doing this, but maybe not in their area. So trying to understand that feedback as well.
Or just making them aware that we are doing it?
That too. I mean, I think when I do these sort of planning exercises in communities, a lot of what I end up hearing through the process is better communication strategy, and that certainly could be an objective or a goal, and often is in these planning documents, because I think that's what we sort of find through the process is maybe we just need to be better at communicating what's actually going on.
In your slide can you go back a couple of slides, the one that had the statement?
Yes.
How do you prioritize this? Or I realize you're taking all these as an initiative, but do you prioritize these first?
Yeah, so there have to be a number of other goals that for each of the 12 different topic areas. These are sort of our top 6, and then ultimately it will be up to the comprehensive plan committee that you all have appointed to sort of prioritize within these as well. So we really have to keep getting into the nitty-gritty detail a little bit more. We have general agreement that these are our big ideas as discovered through the public, but we don't necessarily have an idea yet of how those should be prioritized, along with some of the other things that the state requires us to include in plans.
Would you share that with the community to say if you can number these or prioritize these? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And our website, the planoldtown.com, gives us a good place to sort of create those interactive tools. Yeah.
Is that up now?
Yes. And there is an interactive mapping activity already on there if people can't make it to the specific land use workshop that evening.
It looks like that's about 7% response. Is that pretty normal in your experience?
Mm-hmm. When we talked about this as the comp plan committee, I had told them that typically what I'm aiming for is about a 5% response rate, and that's 5%. They kind of said it couldn't be done. So I think when we were going through this as a committee, they thought I was crazy for aiming for 5%. I was actually pleasantly surprised with the response rate that we got.
I talked about this on Facebook, and people asked me specific questions that I'm now going to ask you, so you can answer them.
Okay.
If people are concerned about us getting accurate representation, part of that is how you are breaking it out, so we can see that more elderly people answered than younger, and we can look at it that way.
Right.
But also, they have all these opportunities coming up to engage again.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to restate it. And then someone specifically asked, it's really interesting that different people prioritize how close we are to Bangor, but why such specific questions as that? Like, what What does it tell us? We can't make Bangor get closer to us.
I think it's interesting to me. What I'm trying to draw from some of the more specific questions is why people choose to live here. Some people specifically choose to live here because we have these amazing recreational opportunities or these great schools, and some people just choose to live here because it's close to Bangor. And that is a totally reasonable and fine response, but I'm just trying to understand, how we should be weighing their responses.
It's very interesting, that one specifically, because people with 1 or 2 people in the households way more prioritized how close we were to Bangor than people who had bigger households, and that could be either the younger or the older. And I thought that was really interesting and can feed into how we think about Old Town.
Yeah. Sort of interesting, like potentially families value different things in our community. And that's really what you're trying to get at. You have to look at it holistically with all of your different demographic questions and not just, picking and choosing. Yeah. Any other questions or specific feedback on the vision statement or priorities?
Will all the dates be on your website?
Yes, I will make sure that I currently only have the next 2 dates on there.
What was your second date? I only got the first one.
Yeah, so we have the future land use workshop, and then I'm going to be coming to the planning board actually tomorrow to do more specific feedback.
Okay.
And that's what I have so far, but I will make sure that that's continuously updated.
Are you going to be reviewing any of this data, or should we just ask questions from the data that we saw?
You can ask questions. Yeah, that would be great.
Well, I'm really happy to see the data because I think the data really shows that there's some bridging between the generations and some of our older population, what the needs are. But I think from a council perspective, why I really like this work is because it can really help to inform us on some of the priorities we're working on. And what I saw come through was housing as an example and quality of life as an example. But when it comes to housing, I think why it's important for us to understand that is if there's a lot of requirements for housing or improving the quality of homes, which seem to be resoundingly an agreed to topic, then we as council can then look at what are we doing from a zoning and a land use perspective to make sure that we're addressing that. So that's the one reason that I really like this data, because it really helps us solidify why we should be prioritizing some of our work in relation to this. Yeah.
Any other questions or points to be made?
Very interesting data. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Miles.
thank you very much.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you very much for having me. And I think I have my contact information on that Plan Old Town site if you're interested in further conversation. But again, there's also many community events coming up where we can talk more as well.
Does anyone know the day of the week that the 11/6 is off the top of their head?
Yes.
It's a Thursday.
Thursday. Election's Tuesday.
Dude, yeah.
Yes.
2 days after.
I got that one too.
Oh my gosh, I know.
You should too, you'd be there too.
I fly home, so if I can get back in time.
Yeah, maybe the new one, you can take over there.
No.
That's how I know. Thank you so much, very much. Okay, let's get down to the
Number 2.
number 2. Bill Mayo, City Manager, update on the Old Town High School pool demolition and asbestos from
Mediation.
I'm saying it right in my brain, but it's just not coming out right.
We had a meeting last week with Thornton's and with the RSU. Basically, the time frame that Thornton's would take to take the building down, they would start on a Friday. They would have the building down by Monday.
This
Well, they're
Friday?
Excuse me?
This Friday?
No. They would start on
Friday.
a
Start
Gotcha.
a Friday.
Okay, all
yeah,
right,
on a Friday, yes. So what they're doing right now is working through any sports schedules or whatever with the high school to make sure that won't be in conflict with what they're doing. Around that site, there'll be a external chain link fence put up, so no one will be in where any of the equipment's operating or any of that. Asbestos removal, they were on site today, testing and coming up with a plan on that. That could be as high as $20,000. It could be as low as $10,000 because on their initial testing, A lot of the stuff that they found on that was basically on the elbows, on return pipes coming back, so there wasn't quite as much as what they thought. There's a little bit in the insulation that's in the panels that are on the bottom of the walls, but not on both sides of the building, so we should know, like, in another week what that will look like. Thornton's was going to crush a lot of the concrete block and bury it on site. It's painted concrete. You can do that. During the discussion, Matt Sear brought up the fact that possibly where the pool building currently is located, that could be a entranceway in the future, that they might try to put a different entrance onto the high school in that spot. So when Mike Thornton heard that, he said, I would not put that on site in the ground because if they put an addition on 10 years from now, and you ask an engineer what they're going to do, they're going to test bore that area. And when they start pulling up painted concrete, they're going to say I have to remove it. So Mike was reaching out to Casella to talk about using that 2-inch minus to build aggregate in the roads, because they have to put roads on top of the landfill. So I'm just waiting to hear back from Wayne Boyd. So potentially there wouldn't be any cost to move that up there except for the trucking. Let's see if I missed anything here. Yeah, so as soon as they find out sports schedules, which is getting kind of towards the end, so you're probably only going to have football left now. And once we get the asbestos testing done, then he'll give us a solid date to get going, and
it's still a wash, there's no cost toss.
except on the asbestos
Except for on the
removal.
asbestos, so the
Yeah.
10 to 20 on the asbestos,
Yeah.
okay.
Probably would be better to do it in the wintertime anyway, wouldn't it? Something like that.
No, because he'll, whatever's there, they're going to keep the site watered down. There won't be any dust.
Not? Okay.
And they just as soon get it done.
Yeah.
Do we need to notify the neighbors this work's gonna be done on the weekend? So we don't get it?
It won't be loud. They'll have a ram hoe. Well, they thought they'd have a lot more because originally, the doorway that comes out of the gymnasium and down the stairs, it has kind of like the little small elevator unit with it. They were thinking they were going to be able to remove that. The RSU was going to brick that up as an entrance and stuff, but when code went up today and measured the distances between the exits by the locker rooms and down to where that door, it's too far to not have an exit there, so they're actually going to leave that. There was a lot of concrete right there with the steps that were poured and down in the ground, so they won't have to hammer that out of there now, so shouldn't be a lot of noise
Okay.
issue there.
I'll let you know,
Yeah.
since I live right by there, so.
It's okay, I'll probably hear it at my house too, so.
So as soon as we can hear back, I'll keep you updated. We hear back on the asbestos testing and get a solid date.
Any questions for Bill?
Two?
Go ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned watering down, so from an asbestos standpoint, that'll be the remediation for the dust, is to keep the property
Yes.
watered. And as it's demolished, is there anything that they do to protect the dust, or is there going to also wet the building?
Yeah, so I mean, when county abatement goes in, they take all the asbestos out first.
Good.
But still, when Thornton's is taking the building down, they'll still keep it watered just to make sure there's no dust, anything friable.
Okay. And then from the standpoint of brownfields or anything, there's nothing there because that's the only identified? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
There was nothing there when they built it.
Right.
All set? Okay, let's move on.
Oh,
Nope. Okay,
no, I
all
said
set.
thank you, Bill.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Bill. Next, number 3, Connor Archer, founder, chairman, and CEO of the Courageous Step Project, will be giving a presentation on the use of the Herbert Sargent Committee Center.
Updated binders here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, absolutely.
Thank you.
Grab. Same right here, fine.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. Truly appreciate it. My name is Connor Archer, and I'm the founder, chairman, CEO of the Courageous Steps Project, and a proud Old Town alum as well, and grew up in Stillwater Village. So truly, it's a pleasure to be here. What you have tonight is an updated binder of 61 letters of support that have come in. So that is up from 18 as of when I sent it to you last Thursday. It's been a humbling experience to be able to get the support that we truly knew was there from the beginning. But just talking with our community and talking with even surrounding communities of residents who are working, who live in Old Town but are working at other schools, and seeing how this could be beneficial in different communities as well. But when I heard of the opportunity, and I knew of it for a little bit, but I drove by one day to see when I was picking up my mail at the Stillwater Post Office. Still have a box, P.O. Box 1, that was saved for me actually by then Postmaster Jody, for someone who had it for 100 years. So I drove by, saw the sign down the dumpster out, and I immediately texted our events chair, Heather Barton, who lives on Bennett Road 2, and said, we have something here. We have something here. And we've been planning this for over a decade now. We just didn't know where and what it would look like. And we had tried different opportunities for expansion right here in Old Town, but it never felt like the right fit. And I don't know if I'm a leader too, if I don't believe in it, then we can't, then how are we supposed to convince our partners in our community to get involved? This has felt every bit different since the beginning. I have to be honest with you, I might have shed a few happy tears when I, thought of all the possibilities that we could, have here. It's home. It's home. It's home for so many reasons. Not only the fact of we know many people who went to school at the Herbert Sargent School, and I talked to many of them, and it was funny, one of them reached out to me and said, I'm so glad that you reached out, because I've been wanting to ask you, would you ever consider doing something there? Full disclosure, we know the amount of work that will need to happen. I took our architect, Richard Borelli, in last Wednesday. Thank you, Bill and team, for that. Really appreciate it. We have a better understanding of what's gonna take, and I'm very pleased to let you know that I've been having conversations with many of our partners and many of our donors who are really eager to support this from a community perspective. But also to create a space, as Isabel said this evening, that's truly revitalizes the area, that enhances what's already been done there, but more importantly, that creates outdoor sensory learning spaces, that restores the pathway that was formerly the Bourne Learning Trail, that was done years and years ago. We want to expand that. We want to create that destination where I saw a couple with their dog, running in the field. We want to create those spaces where mom and dad can let the child go and they can run into the flowers, play in the playground. Most importantly, too, we want to really clean up the property. That has already been a priority for us to start. If we're able to move forward with this, to start in the spring of 2026. And we've identified groups already that are ready to come over, get their hands dirty, and really help us revitalize this property. And let me tell you, that's been inspiring to see that buy-in from not only around here in this community, but just surrounding communities as well. They want to see this happen. And it's just been awesome to think about, and also, really to dig out the plans that we've had for a decade. I've spent many times walking around the property, so I probably know it too well. I know the building problems a little more than most people. A lot of the upgrades needed to happen years ago. We know that. We got verification of that. We did get some good news from our architect, and he took a good look in, different parts of the building. He said, Connor, we have something here. Good solid bones, needs a lot of love, and we can give it that love. We're confident about that. The residents who wrote letters too, that you see in your binder, say that, and we're just truly excited about the opportunity that we can have to bring more programming to support our schools. And right now, given a lot of the challenges that our schools face, especially with declining enrollment, but also how that impacts state EPS funding that comes in next year, that's going to be a challenge that is already, I know, being discussed. There's also a new early childhood special education responsibility that's coming to schools starting next year, or starting next year and year after. Some schools have taken it on. I know Old Town's talked about it, either next year or the year after. That's going to add a significant responsibility and space concern too. And for 3- and 4-year-olds, we have an opportunity to really be a partner with our schools and to support them with that programming. We have an increasing home and community program that is continuing to serve more families in Old Town that wouldn't otherwise have those services. And we want to create an attraction outside that is sensory friendly, that's safe, and that's welcoming for them. But more importantly, it's about the community. And I've had conversations with community members who asked me, what are you going to do about the baseball field? And I said, we are going to do something special with that. And what we mean is that we are going to add on to the things that have already been done over the years that have, enhanced the baseball field. I've been aware, I was, around when the baseball field was actually re-sloped because it was a low point. So it was re-sloped 2016. There were dugouts added. I actually talked with Alex Blackie's mom, Chrisanne, and said, we want to rededicate, those dugouts for him and honor you guys. We want to honor what has been done, but we want to also look forward and say, what are we going to do to create opportunity, to create hope for our kids and for our community? I think this goes right into the comprehensive plan that you heard tonight. It brings programming, more closer to home, so families don't have to travel to Bangor, which for many families that's a challenge. How do we bring programming closer to home? We have a recipe that is already proven to be very successful in that. We have state support, we have regional support, local support. I was getting letters in at 4:30 this afternoon that I included frantically in your binder last minute because people were like, am I too late? Am I too late? I said, no, you're not. Your voice matters in this, and we want every voice to matter in it. And we still have work to do to get every voice at the table to understand, are we missing anything? Are we, and so far, all the ideas we presented, people have absolutely fallen in love with. But most importantly, we want to honor the legacy that the Herbert Sargent School and campus has had on Stillwater Village. It's home for so many. I've been again having conversations with several in the community. I think I heard I had Laura Sanborn reach out to me saying, that I don't know who in the council reached out to her, but saying that they really liked her letter as well, and that touched my heart because I know we have some great people in our community. We want to really restore what the building can be. We know it's going to take a lot of work. I'm not shy about that. I'm a very much go-getter and saying, what are we going to do to get this done? We have the partners at the table to do it, and and many of them said, keep us posted on Monday night, and if you have a solid answer by the council, we're ready to move to move things forward. I'm not someone who sits still. If there's something we need to do, we get it done because our kids depend on it. And the letters you read in the binder, which takes up I think over half the binder now, I think just only exemplify what is possible and what we can do for this community. This is home. I've wanted to give back like this to this community. We don't want to go anywhere else. We just don't. We've had other opportunities. It's never felt right. We want it to be here, and it's the perfect fit. I can't imagine another fit as good as this one for Courageous Steps, for the growth of this organization, and we plan to be, and if we get your support, we're not going anywhere. We plan to be here and grow here for decades to come. We want this to be, our home for years and years to come. And we're very confident in our, yes, ambitious, bold thinking plans, but we have so many partners at the table who are ready to do this. So, as that young little boy who couldn't talk, for or was told not to talk, that he wouldn't talk, to be able to have this chance to do this and to give back to this community, it means something. I have my tissues in my pocket, but I don't think I'm going to need them tonight. It means something, and I think people see that. I know our board sees it. I see it, and we're ready to act quickly. We've had this in our plans for 10 years. So when we were digging things out, it was like, oh, we could do this, do this, do this. It was easy. It was like the easiest thing. It was a lot of work, over the past week and a half to dig everything out, but it was so easy because we had a plan. We were ready. I basically reached out to all of our partners, insurance, architects, said, let's go. Let's get this moving because time is of the essence, and we need to, do this for our community and create this, great destination that can really support the future of our community, our schools, and hopefully, be a model for the rest of the state as well, which is what many of the people have written too. So thank you, again so much for inviting me tonight. I was, when I reached out to Bill, I was kind of unsure if if this would even get to this point, but I wasn't going to let go because I knew how important this meant to me, but what it meant to so many, and we want to get this done. I'll take any questions as you have them.
How many acres are out there?
I think it's around 15 in total.
15 acres, so it's kind of, when you go by, you don't realize that it's
No.
that many. Okay. Because I know you get supporters, a lot of backers,
Yep.
but this is a multi-million-dollar.
Oh, we know the cost of it. We're looking at $4 million. And we already have had conversations last week with several partners that are ready to act, and we have more. Every day we're getting more coming to the table who are ready to act. And that's been the most inspiring thing. A similar project actually had competing presenting partners who were bidding back and forth, say who's going to be the person to support this. So we have something here. We know that the project is going to be a major one. That doesn't intimidate us. It doesn't intimidate anyone on our team because we know the property. We know what needs to be done. We know the woods needs to be cleaned up significantly. And let me tell you, I had groups reaching out saying, we're coming with our groups and shovels when you say yes. And outside actually will be, I don't want to say the easiest part, but it will be the easiest part because we know the building needs that love.
How many staff members do you foresee?
So right now we have 25 staff members, including our administrative team, our behavioral health professionals. We want to expand that team as well, create new roles, and most importantly, work with Husson. Lynn Poyogan from Husson wrote a letter endorsing this project and how incredible of an opportunity it would be to bring OT placements for practicums, internships, bring those closer to home, giving that unique opportunity and helping build the education human services workforce, which is desperately needed right now. We need more community hands-on placements to prepare our teachers, our professionals for the future. And we know that this will be an innovative way to address that need, but also address a shortage of quality care, continuity of care, continuity of care is really important to us as an organization.
Yeah, and I know you have a question. You keep, no, okay, I thought maybe.
Yeah.
I do too,
Well,
so.
okay, but just one more question though. That's a concern too, as far as getting quality people.
Sure.
Because these days, even schools have a difficult time
Absolutely.
getting teachers and people who are qualified.
Sure. Yep.
So-
And we have really had great success over the past year at actually building our base as an organization. A year ago at this time, well, probably a year and a half ago, we had 8 people on our team. We grew that to 25. So we have an incredible recruiting strategy through working with other universities. We've built our team around that. I think it's because we do things differently. We directly connect with the students. We give them a voice at the table, and we take their ideas and we're not afraid to challenge the status quo of what's happening. And several state officials I've talked to about that are like, that's awesome. That's awesome what you're thinking about, because they don't think about those things. They're sitting at home on their Zoom screens, and I think it's just been a great opportunity for us to learn about the needs, learn about how we can do things more sustainably, and bring services closer to home. They want this.
Go ahead, Kate.
It sounds like it completely matches the needs of the in perpetuity grants, but I just want to make sure from your understanding that this would also meet
Yeah,
the
I mean,
qualifications.
it involves maintenance of the tennis courts
Yeah.
to do that.
And in the plan calls for, total, redoing of the tennis courts, actually also putting extra lines for pickleball, other sports too. So when we think about, trying to create other adaptive opportunities, it's a great space, and how do we, create something that fits our community's needs, but also fits the, environment. So, I walked the tennis court. It needs a lot of love. It needs a ton of it. And the whole property needs, certainly a lot of vegetation cut back. That part will, be really the easiest part of things. And again, I say, easy. We're prepared to get the whole force of our team together and partners to do this, and we're really excited about that.
Did you have another one, or you have something? No. Okay, you do.
I do. So a couple of things, Connor. I appreciate your program. I've donated to your food drive every year, by the way.
I appreciate
I
that.
do it through Matthew, so
Yeah.
that's how I do it. But so just a couple of things I'm trying to run through my head here.
Sure.
From a priority standpoint, you're not going to touch anything till spring of 2026, correct?
Our goal is spring of 2026, but our plan is that if we can move the building renovations up, we're going to do that. Our donors are really eager to get involved with this. That is clear more and more every day. I know one I talked to said, again, let us know how Monday night goes, because, if things are moving, we may sweeten the pot a little bit and get things moving. So, again, not putting any pressure on you, because that's not what I'm about. But there is opportunity here, and we don't certainly want to let it slip by. But there's a lot of developments that are still ongoing every day. I won't lie, I probably put in 14, 15-hour days lately, but I love it. It's energized me. I'm the most energized I've been probably in 15 years, and that's saying a lot, because if some people know me in the back, they're like, "Really? You're more energized now?" And I am.
So based on the projects you have here, like the sensory,
Yeah.
are you going to have enough rooms for that? 'Cause,
We are.
I mean, this is massive. I don't think
I
it'd
know,
probably be the
this
same
is-
size,
No.
but to look at this, it's massive.
No, and the back part is likely the baseball field, so that will cut back anyways, because the original concept was to do something a little more expansive. What we're talking about is now taking, like, for example, that Bourne Learning Trail, connecting it back from the road, having it wind around the entire property. So basically, if your family's taking a dog for a walk, they can sniff the gardens. And by the way, with the gardens, the clever plan we have is we're going to reach out to community members in this community. All those overgrown perennials that are looking to be cut back, we're going to kind of do this call out to say, hey, cut back your overgrown perennials, bring them over, and we're going to dedicate gardens to different people, and give the community an opportunity to be involved. And I tell you, I've already had conversations with gardeners. They're like, sign us up tomorrow.
So you also talk about doing an addition, correct?
At some point,
From a planning board standard, had you looked into that at all with the city?
we have not yet. That's something down phase 3.
So you have phases. That was
We
my
do.
next question.
We have phases.
Where are your phases? Can you describe them?
Exactly. So there's phase 1, which includes 1A, 1B. 1A is really the building, and phase 1A, 1B is going to really work together, because we don't want to just sit still and while the building's still, being renovated. We want to enhance the property immediately, because the baseball field, is already in good shape. How do we just do some little things to, clean things up a little bit? The pathway, for example, that will be a big, project. There's a whole playground infrastructure we want to look at too, and we've already been looking at natural quotes for that. I actually was telling a guy, was like, can I come up? I said, let me update you after tonight. But I've got people on standby who want to, look at this and really give their ideas. I think the most important thing I can say is that, we, that we have those people who want to give their blood, sweat, and tears to this. So phase 1A, 1B, phase 2 will likely be some more, external enhancements, and we'll see about phase 3. Phase 3 is based on increased enrollment, based on how we grow, and if we do it, it would be where the old part of the school was, because as you remember, there was no part of the school. It was torn down to just do the cost of maintaining it. That's where it would be, and we would try to not maybe necessarily emulate that completely, but one of the renderings you see in there would have kind of that pitched roof kind of feel, similar to what the, I think, the old edition looked like. May have looked a little different. I'd have to ask my older brother, Cam, who went to school there, because he would remember it. So lots of phases. It won't be done overnight, but that's the beauty of a project, is that you can add to it, and you can get people involved over time. And outside, the beauty is, we have set timelines here of outdoor projects in 2026. We may not get to all of them completely in 2026, but that's okay. We get to it 2027, 2028. We can keep the community excited, and that's the beautiful thing about that too. But the building will be our capital focus. So outside, we will have to, we will need to get creative about our partnerships to get that done.
Anybody else?
I talked to the gardeners at Old Town Elementary a lot, and this kind of sensory center garden is something they've been talking about for a very long time.
Awesome.
So this fills a need that has been identified in the community.
And cooperative, and we're going to be talking with cooperative extension too, because they need hours to volunteer and to, every semester. We've got 5 business groups as well, not only in Old Town, but also Bangor, who have offered to come up, because they see how important this is for the region. We're not just talking about yes, the priority to be given to this community, but this is something that could be transformational we know it'll be transformational for the region, because we've already gotten we've already understood the gaps that are out there. They are out there, especially in this community. We know that. We see that more and more every day in our programming. We are quickly outgrowing our very, very small space, in Milford, which will be a challenge for us if we don't do something, because our schools are going to need us more than ever, and that's coming quickly.
How many students do you have currently?
So our capacity right now is 20. Between our home community program and preschool program, we have 32 families. That's being conservative. We would like to grow that number significantly. A lot of that's just what we're finding too, is families are monitoring what's happening in the world, because they're afraid they won't qualify for services. They're afraid when they're afraid when they apply, they're wasting all this time to not get anywhere. We've been able to help several families get through the process much quicker, and actually sometimes less than 3 days. And a lot of the families are just like, how did you do that? I said, we were efficient, and we did what we need to do for you. We cut through red tape, we cut through, all the things that are typically challenges, and we did what we need to do for you. And I think that's a testament to our team, to our organization's mission of meeting the whole child where they're at, and creating hope, opportunity, and value. And we want to be able to do that here. This will help us with our national accreditation work. We'll be one of only 2 at the end of this nationally accredited early childhood centers in the region. It'd be us and Penquis at that point. So that puts us in very important company. And there's not many national accredited providers in the state of Maine. So this will go a major, major way in us being able to meet that standard.
So from a funding standpoint, you have donors, you have fundraising efforts.
Yeah.
Do you get any state funding or grant funding?
We do. So our state funding is through DHHS, DOE, and what will be happening is starting through schools. So what's happening with schools is that this new early childhood special education funding is 100% state funded, state share. So schools have an opportunity here to partner with organizations in the community to fill those needs. Many schools, I mean, Milford was closed today due to staffing shortage. It's a reality that there is the need for partners and partnerships to serve our kids is going to be there more than ever, especially another year in 2 years. And with all the conversations happening about Milford, I know the idea was for the Milford merging with, joining the RSU. We'll see how that really, ends up. But there's a lot to follow, and we are trying to pull every lever possible behind the scenes to be prepared to serve our kids. We don't know what's going to happen with Alton next year. They have pre-K out there, but if there's a shortfall, where's that? Some funding's got to come from somewhere. So we have an opportunity here to support the needs of our kiddos, because you can't use that funding for capital expansion. So the middle school has talked about, or so Matt Sear talked about one of his meetings, adding an addition at the middle school. Now, they can't use the early childhood funds to do that. It would fall on the taxpayers. I don't know about you. I don't know if the taxpayers will support that right now.
I think you might be right.
I think, right. So and I've talked to many. My parents' taxes have gone up significantly. They're not happy, but they're supporters of education. And that's hard. That's hard because, we want to support our students in education. This way could be a really creative way to address that need, support that programming, potentially have that partnership even with pre-K, depending on how Old Town Elementary's enrollment continues to look and how the whole RSU. And we're ready to have those. We've had those conversations over the summer with RSU leadership, Orono as well. We're actually working with Orono this year. Both my parents are educators, administrators over there, so we have deep connections there, and Milford too. So, we're very excited about all this.
Do you do outreach to other? So you answered my question about Orono, but like Alton, Enfield,
Yes.
Milo.
We serve families from all over the areas, so VZ, Bangor, Alton, Greenbush even. We have families that travel because there's a need for it. And the biggest challenge right now, actually for us, is for a lot of the Bangor families, Milford's quite a haul. This would take off 10 minutes of our, off our distance from, where the rec is to, where the Herbert Sarge campus is to our facility on Main Road. So that's significant. And it's right off the interstate. It's very accessible, very easy to get to. Again, like you mentioned, Councilor McLeod, it's close enough to things, but it's secluded. You don't realize how big the land is.
But it's still very visible, so it's great.
It's great.
It's a nice blend.
Yeah.
It's great.
And the neighbors have expressed to me, we want something quality driven in there. We want to see this thrive, and a lot have said, like, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. And I think one of our partners, I said last week, said, oh, this is a no-brainer. And they asked about the cost too. They said, you know this, right? I said, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they know. And they looked at me twice and they said, and they were very impressed, like, not many people would be bold like that. But I think there's a respect level that our doors have, saying, wow, the planning, the institutional knowledge of the space as well, because we know the walls have to be either stripped down or covered up, because the walls are not fire rated, so that's going to have to be redone regardless to open.
Are you open for a question from a gentleman in the audience?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilor McLeod, for I'm sitting here listening, I don't understand what Courageous Steps is actually asking the city council. Is this transferring the property? What's gonna be the ownership status of
We
this
would,
property?
we cannot sell it. It's only going to be a.
Long-term lease?
Exactly.
That's all, that's
fine.
It was
Right.
all
That's
this
a good
talk, but we
question.
didn't
Great.
hear what the actual proposal
Yeah.
is.
Great question.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it
John.
would be- It would be a long-term lease, yes. And that's why we're looking at also the tennis and also the baseball area as well, because we've already had people that were very anxious for whoever was in there or whatever, is that those things might be available for the city to use.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
You good?
I have, as I'm thinking about what you're doing, I realize I am missing a step. So my mom is a social worker, so when I think of this type of relationship, it's a long-term, multi-year
Right.
thing, but it can also be like check-ins twice a year. Is, when you say you have a capacity for 32 families, where are you in that range?
Yeah, so those are direct care services that occur frequently. But a lot of the programming we would look to launch as well would help young adults transition from high school into adulthood, which is a major need in this region. We see that more and more from a life skills component, and some of the testimonial you have in the binders show that. The difference that, I've been able to make on several, just in the little things we've been able to do. Imagine what we can do here with this state-of-the-art, campus. And I think the most important thing to add to your point, Councilor McLeod, as well, is, whatever we do here, we want to make sure that we're here for years and years to come, because, it's a very important piece of land piece of property, not only for not only community, but really it connects so well with Courageous Steps. We have residents who live in Stillwater who are board members of ours as well, who look at this property driving home every single day. So they're like, what are we going to do about this?
I appreciate all your hard work. It was really a good presentation, and it sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear after, it's a hard meeting because we're tearing down the pool, and then this is heartwarming, because
Save the
people have
building.
affinity to these old places,
Yeah.
and that's.
And I was afraid we'd have to tear the building down. That was one of the things that I asked our architect, and I've known Richard Borelli for almost a decade now, who was at WBRC, and I asked him, I needed to be up straight, straight and honest with me. Can we salvage this? He said, Connor, this could be far cheaper to do this than build, truly, because of all the site, because the bones are there to do it. The bones are there. All the things we'd be doing, putting new heating system in. It'll be a new heat pump, likely a new heat pump heating system. So all the duct work you see as well, that will go away, and there'll be a heat pump system that will look cleaner. It will actually make the building look better. It's not the funnest thing to talk about because heating's not cheap, but those little things look better. Same thing with the walls. It'll look brighter in there as well. It'll look like a whole new place. But the history will still be there, and we want to enhance that. And most importantly, the parking lot won't have divots everywhere, because over the years, I was afraid that whenever driving in, I was afraid that my tire would bust up. So the parking infrastructure will be modernized, expanded capacity wise, reorganized, so that way it's cleaner parking, which I heard about as well in a previous meeting, that parking has been a challenge, and I'm aware of that too, because there would be times where cars would just be lined up, and my concern's all
that space and
right.
place to get
Well, and my concern has always been, what if an emergency happens? What if a fire truck needs to get in there? That's, really tight to get cars in there. So parking would be a priority to organize and, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question for you, Connor. I just wanted to say that it is very evident that you've put a lot of thought into this, and I want to thank you for your thoroughness, and especially for including the overwhelming number of testimonies. I'm sure that you must be very proud of where the movement has gotten to today.
It's been humbling. It's been a lot a lot of reading these at night with some tears as well. Isabel wrote a letter to Isabel and I went to school together. So it meant a lot for, having that come from her and, others as well. And it's an honor to do this work. I don't do it for, the recognition or the fame. I do it because I love it. I love it with a passion. I would, and know this, I will pretty much give up my soul and, energy to get this done because I've wanted this for years. This was the first dream of mine. We just needed to find the land and the perfect fit, and we know this is the fit.
Well, thank you. You did do a very good job. Excellent, excellent
Thank you.
job.
Thank you, Governor.
So what do we do now there, Mr. Mayor?
Wow, you're gonna really put me on the spot.
I am. Well, as a council, this committee meeting, what's next as far as being able to go forward? Do we,
Yeah, I mean, I can put together some more detailed parameters as far as requirements there, like we talked about with the conservation grant that's there, with the deed restrictions, which obviously they meet that for educational purposes, but just to make sure that everybody's looking at that same information, so.
We obviously have, our legal counsels get involved, review everything to, Robin and Mitchell's our legal counsel. So they're familiar with that. Right, yeah, that's okay. But no, we're ready.
conflict of interest, is it?
Yeah, but we're, we know, there's gonna be a lot of moving parts, with this, and we're ready to go, with, the good thing is, it looks like you're very interested, in, at least, the positive momentum moving forward, so that allows us to really go back to our, donors starting tomorrow to say, this is looking good, and let's get the commitments rolling in.
So just one quick question for Connor. You talk about spring of 2026, but then you kind of
Sure.
reverted back to the fact that people could start now or want to start now.
They do.
We don't want this building sitting all winter
No.
and having to pay for it, so,
Well, basically, we already agreed for somebody to move in for the winter anyway, for the winter.
yeah, but they pulled back.
They pull the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know that.
so,
Thank you.
I lost my train of thought here,
I know
sorry.
the building. And that's why we're pushing so hard to get things moving. No one can be in there. I checked with Richard. There's too many fire violations in there. You can't put a child care facility in there right now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's.
So no one can move in there, anyway. So we're pushing as quickly as possible to get, the renovations, moving, get the people at the table. So that way we can really act on this. Time is of the essence to us.
So if you're gonna get started sooner than later,
Yeah,
it's not unexpected that we may come back to you and say, okay, if we're gonna rent this to you, we're gonna look at starting November or like that, not spring.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that's clear there.
We're
I think
flexible.
we get a lot of discussing to do.
Yeah, we do, so.
Get a lot of.
But I wanted Bill to be aware,
Yeah.
to have that, so we can talk through it, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Bill, at this time, do we have any other potential partners for the use of the Sargent Center, and are they required to come present to us as well, or?
We'd have to send, well. It's.
So,
Right.
over the past couple of years, we've had Kid Peace go through there. The RSU looked at that, the YMCA looked at it, and now obviously Connor's gone through that. So right now, we have this one organization that's looking to do something.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Does someone need to make a motion to put it forward to a council meeting or something to?
Who's on the committee? Actually, I think
We
we
need to
want to
get,
discuss it first.
we need to get the details that Bill needs to put
Yeah,
together first.
before we do that.
Before we put the
And then
council.
we can bring it forward to.
Great.
for
Just to
that.
get a time lapse so everyone
Yeah,
understands
yeah,
where we're at.
yeah.
So have details for the next council meeting.
I
and
hope
then-
so.
And then we can move on it
Yeah.
then for,
Yeah.
so that we're not keeping.
Because
them
I'm
waiting.
sure we'll have more questions at that point too as to whether or not we want to proceed with this, because I would imagine that we're going to look deep too as far as what we've can do or can't do. So I really want to make sure we do the right thing.
So November 3rd or the next Admin Services Committee?
Yep.
November 3rd?
No, that's,
Council.
that's the meeting, that's our regular meeting.
Yeah.
It's council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was asking which one it's
Yeah,
gonna
we
come
want-
to.
I think it should be at the meeting because.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That way it'd be open, we can
Because
discuss
it'd
it.
be the same thing if we wait till the next meeting. So
And that,
it's at
and,
the-
yeah, and that could probably be at that point,
Then we
someone
can make
could
it.
say, make a motion to bring it forward for, approval or non-approval, whatever,
Perfect.
okay?
So tell your donors to hang in there, please.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're good.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's a
Connor.
couple
It's not
weeks,
that
yeah.
far away.
Yeah, it's not.
This is a positive step for us, and we're very pleased about
Thank
the
you.
opportunity. Thank you.
We appreciate it, thank you.
Good.
Uh,
And,
Katie said you had a motion to adjourn?
yes,
I'll second it.
okay, got
Second
it.
Second.
We have
Katrina.
adjourn. Oh, wait, I don't want to leave on that one, but that's okay. Okay, any other questions, or all set? Okay, all in favor, who's on the committee?
All right, I'm gonna steal it from you,
Yep.
since Dave's not here.
Yep.
All right. I'd like to call to order the October 20th, 2025 Public Services Committee meeting. Up, we're gonna have a discussion with Chief White on a grant to acquire police canine. Chief?
Not the dog, huh?
Whoa, yeah, twice, 1 month.
Comes to dog.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir?
Good afternoon. I'm Dave White, the Chief of Police here. Do you want to ask me questions? Do you want me to talk about the grant a little bit? How do you want to?
Talk about the grant a little bit, what we're looking for,
Yeah.
so.
Who is acting as chair tonight?
I am.
Okay, great, that's what I thought, but I just want to make sure.
The Stanton Canine Foundation is who is providing us with this grant. They funded over 100 canine units over New England, in Maine, Vermont, Mass, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, since 2010. And they have about $5 million allotted to them for 2025, and we were lucky enough to get one of those, some of that money. So I gave you the email, and it pretty much explains what it costs, or what the cost that they determined is an average canine unit, or what a basic canine unit would require for 3 years of its opening up. And it looks like it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty detailed, and it explains it a lot. Explains a lot of what is required to get it up and running. And an average canine unit was usually between 6 and 8 years. So this will cover at least half, hopefully.
What kind of dog?
Well, the good thing about this grant is they match the handler to the canine. And it's either going to be a German Shepherd, Dutch Shepherd, or a Belgian Shepherd. That's all they work with. So they wait to meet the handler, and then they match the dog and the handler together. So because the dog is no good if the handler's no good, and vice versa. So it's a pretty cool
Who will
concept.
be the handler, or has that been decided yet?
Our handler is going to be Officer Bryce Richards. He's one of the newer guys, been on about 2 years. Actually really excited for him, because he's super pumped to do it. He's very aggressive. He writes the most tickets, makes the most stops. And this is only going to enhance that and help him do his job even better. So
He's a good kid, too.
he's got a good head on his shoulder, and
Assertive, very
he's
assertive.
very, and he's got a nice big yard for the dog to run around in. He lives in town, so it's a perfect fit.
Does he have children?
He does not.
No,
He's not married.
Pretty young.
Well, that doesn't matter, you can still have children.
I know.
You could, but no, he doesn't have any children. As far as I know, he doesn't have any children.
Zach has a question, so.
Okay, yes, go.
Does the grant require any matching from the city at all? Okay,
They give us,
Good question.
excellent.
yes.
Are my guesstimates right that it costs about $2,000 a year after that?
Well, yes, give or take, but there's grants, there's more grants. We're trying to work with local vendors for like food and veterinarian stuff. Plus, there's Chewy's, Walmart, Amazon, Facebook Market. I mean, there's a lot of options as far as keeping costs down.
If the dog gets sick, though, that can be a problem.
Well, that's a vet. That's what we're working on, finding working out some kind of contract we can find with a vet, hopefully.
So the 10% contingency that's set to this, set to the side for that type of situation, right?
You're gonna have a difficult time finding a vet. They're not taking new clients.
Well, we'll see what we can do.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
I
it's
think
more-
One ticket real quick.
Yeah, no, you know.
Yeah.
A little different.
I know a couple of the officers here have different vets, and so they're already kind of, actually, Bryce has a vet that he goes to.
Okay.
So
Good. I'm
hopefully
glad to
that'll be
hear
the way to
that.
get it.
Name.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, we're gonna look at maybe insurance.
Yeah.
You know, pet insurance for veterinarian care, which saves money in the long run too.
So just out of curiosity, the conversion, $6,000 to convert a police cruiser to support a dog, that's kind of hefty, isn't it?
It depends on, because they have, there's sensors in there for, like, if the car loses power and you're on a call and it gets too hot or too cold, it sets off an alarm, it sends you
Okay.
messages. I mean, that stuff's not cheap.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things. Yeah.
So just what is the need for a canine unit?
What is the need for a
And
canine
what would
unit?
they do?
Well,
Good for you.
I have a little thing here that says benefits of a canine program. Well, obviously, it will enhance our capabilities and just it enhances officer safety as well, because we have, I'm trying to see here the numbers we have. We had, since 2024, 43 use of force incidents that involved 19 incidents, so 43 use of force in 19 incidences. When you have a canine, people tend to comply a little quicker, let's put it that way. So that should cut down a lot for use of force, because it's a very good deterrent too, and so that's a big part. As far as searching, the dog will go where we don't want to go or where we can't go, and it'll do a lot quicker. Drug detection, it's originally trained, it's 10 to 14 weeks of training as the initial training. After that, it's certified, you wait 8 to 9 months, and then you have to, if we're going to dual train it, which we are going to, we send it back for another couple weeks for narcotics and searching. So it's going to be a patrol dog that does narcotic sniff and as well as searching. So that's our plan anyway.
How often will you think, as far as narcotics is concerned, that you've had arrest?
Well,
Or suspicious, or any of that information for whether or not the dog would be very useful for that?
well, we've had, as a department, since 2024, we've had over 446 arrests. We served,
Narcotics?
say again?
For narcotics?
Well, no, I'm
Oh,
not
for
done.
everything, oh.
Yeah, total.
Holy cow.
'Cause that would be a lot. That would be a lot.
We got a problem here. Okay, go ahead, I'm
12
sorry.
search warrants. Out of all those arrests and search warrants, probably I'd say well over 60% involved narcotics. The state police, and this is, I'm just comparing local, state police, K-9 deployed 74 times since 2024. And we were 6 of those, 74. We've used them 6 times. We've used Brewer a few times. We've used the sheriff's officer also for a few times. Since I've been here, we've done 4 or 5 search warrants on houses with the K-9. And before I came here for the 28 years prior, anytime a K-9 is involved with searches like that, it makes it so much easier, it's faster, it's safer, it's just better all the way around when the K-9's involved. Because that's what they're trained to do. And it also protects us so we're not getting involved with dangerous situations. We can send the dog in. I'm trying to think what else is here. That's basically it as far as the narcotics. Drugs are involved in everywhere. I mean, you just read the paper. You're seeing it. We're seeing it. It's not going to go away. It's cheap. It's easy to do. It's easy to find. And like I said, with Officer Richards, he stops a lot of cars. And having a K-9 with him, he can do sniffs. And, and if we're watching a house or if we're doing surveillance and cars are leaving a certain house, we can use that dog to help our PC and get a warrant and keep it out of Old Town at least.
Is the use of a canine like potentially just walking around and helping you identify where people are leaving drug paraphernalia that makes the community more vulnerable to
mean, specifically looking for, well, if it's walking around and it sniffs it, yeah, he's gonna alert.
Right, but I mean, is that like part of what a canine handler does, is like just sort of walking through the parks, walking?
It can.
Okay. Just-
Sure, it's an endless, as far as what you want to use him or her for.
Yeah.
And Bryce will be working during what we consider the busier times for where a canine would be more useful. You know, weekends, weekend nights, stuff like that.
So this grant is for the establishment of the unit. Are you
Correct.
going to be seeking other grant monies following this for the continuation of it?
For education and, yeah, rest. We're already looking into that. There's a lot of groups that canine officers meet. They need, I think, 48 hours a quarter
Okay.
to keep up their certifications. And a lot of canines will just meet monthly, and it doesn't cost anything. They just go on their day off or on their day on and work with the dog and do different drills and whatever they need to do to keep their certifications good.
So the initial cost, your little asterisk at the bottom here, it says, please note the initial grant does not cover any wages. So the patrol school grant and the secondary school grant is to fund Bryce's wages or to reimburse essentially the police department for that?
Well, if you read the email, I think it explains, once they, it's $1,100 per week of training, up to a
Right.
maximum of 14 weeks, is what that covers.
Okay.
Is that in the normal scope of how long it would take to train?
10 to 14 weeks, I believe, is the initial
10 to
training.
14 is what you had said.
Is
So.
initial training, so it covers all of that.
Okay.
I don't know if it was last council meeting or not, but Chief Mylan talked about getting a
Drone?
drone, thank you. Whew. For search and rescue purposes. You've been talking mostly about narcotic issues. Would it also help with search and?
Searching, yep.
That's, I wasn't sure if you meant drug searching or.
No, it'll search for, yes, humans as well.
Any other questions? All right, so do we need to make a motion to move this forward, to accept the grant?
I'm not on this committee.
I'll make that motion to move it forward to
I'll second it.
consideration on the 3rd.
Oh, I also wanted to put, I'm going to put out I'm going to let the town residents name the dog.
Oh, okay.
So we'll put something out on Facebook or whatever and see what name wins.
Who's gonna name it?
He's going to.
It can't be a cute name, no,
Townspeople
it's gotta
name
be,
it. So,
you know,
we've got a motion.
Ronin or something mean.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, no, I think you should do a elementary school.
So Laura, we got a motion to move forward to accept the grant. Zach, Katrina second it. Okay, so, all right, all those in favor?
I
All right.
can't move.
And I can have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
I
Zach,
can't wait to meet him.
can I get a
Good
second?
Laura.
You want to meet him in a
Adjourn.
positive way, though.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
I seconded it.
All those in favor?
Be careful.